Epoxy tables are undeniably beautiful. The glossy finish, the dent, the way light moves through the resin, it is easy to see why so many beginners are drawn to them. On the surface, it looks like a simple idea. In this video, we are going to walk through why epoxy tables cost more than most people think, the beginner mistakes that lead to resin waste, and how to approach your first project more realistically and efficiently. When beginners price their first epoxy table, they usually focus on one thing: the resin itself. They look at a container of epoxy and think, that doesn't seem too bad, and for small projects, that can be true. But tables aren't small projects. A single river table can require several gallons of resin. Once you factor in deep pour epoxy, shipping costs, taxes, and sometimes import fees, the price adds up quickly. And that is just the resin. Epoxy tables also require molds, sealants, pigments, mixing tools, protective gear, sanding supplies, and finishing products. Individually, these items seem minor. Together, they quietly push the total cost much higher than expected. One of the most common beginner mistakes is overestimating how much resin is needed. This usually comes from fear. Beginners worry about running out mid-pour, so they mix extra just in case. Unfortunately, epoxy doesn't work well with leftovers. Once mixed, the clock starts ticking. Unused mixed resin often ends up curing in the bucket and going straight into the trash. The better approach is careful measurements. Calculating volume accurately based on mold dimension and void space can significantly reduce waste. It takes a little time upfront, but it can save a surprising amount of money. Another major source of wasted resin is poor wood preparation. Raw wood is porous. If it isn't properly sealed, it will absorb epoxy like a sponge. Beginners often pour resin into a mold only to come back later and find the level has dropped dramatically. What happened? The resin soaked into the wood or leaked through small gaps. This leads to additional pours, additional resin purchases, and additional costs. A proper seal coat before the main pour helps prevent this and create a more predictable and controlled results. Mold leaks are a quiet but expensive problem. Even a tiny gap can slowly drain resin over hours. Beginners may not notice until the resin has already cured. This isn't always due to carelessness. Epoxy is heavy, and hydrostatic pressure increases with dents. A mold that seems secure during testing can still fail under a full pour. Careful mold construction, proper sealing, and patience during setup are essential, especially for deeper pours. Taking an extra hour to test for the leaks can save gallons of resin later. Temperature plays a major role in epoxy behavior, and it is often underestimated. If the workspace is too cold, epoxy may cure slowly or unevenly. If it is too warm, it may cure too fast, overheat, or develop surface defect. When a pour fails due to temperature issues, the result is often sanding, grinding, or even removing entire sections and repouring. That means more resin, more time, and more costs. Pigments are another hidden source of waste. Using too much pigments can prevent epoxy from curing properly. Using too little can result in an uneven color, leading to additional pours or corrections. Mixing mistakes are just as costly. Inaccurate ratios or incomplete mixing can leave epoxy tacky or soft, requiring removal and replacement. These mistakes aren't obvious at first, but they can turn an expensive pour into a do-over. Perhaps the most important thing to understand is this: some waste is part of learning. Epoxy tables are not beginner projects in the traditional sense. They combine woodworking, chemistry, finishing, and patience. However, Jumping straight into a large table without smaller practice projects often leads to the most expensive lessons. Starting small, testing techniques, and learning how epoxy behaves in your specific environment can dramatically reduce waste over time. If you are thinking about making an epoxy table, the goal isn't to avoid all mistakes. The goal is to understand where costs come from, plan carefully, and respect the material. Accurate measurements, proper sealing, solid mold construction, controlled temperatures, and smaller test pours can make a huge difference in results and costs. Epoxy tables are expensive because small mistakes multiply quickly when you are working at scale. With the right mindsets and a realistic understanding of where costs come from, you can avoid the most common beginner mistakes and make smarter decisions from the very start.